You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of ShopPay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
At LinkedIn, we know hiring is a big deal for your small business. Sometimes it can feel a little overwhelming. LinkedIn uses data that you can't find anywhere else to give you the best candidates, all so you can feel confident you're hiring the best person for the job. And even a little hiring bliss. See why 86% of small businesses who post a job on LinkedIn get a qualified candidate within a day. Post a job for free at linkedin.com/achieve. LinkedIn, your next great hire is here.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. This week, I have returning my good buddy, Mr. Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum, the other guitar podcast. Well, the other one that isn't Chasing Tone or 40 Watt Podcast or, Guitar Nerds. But there's a few of us. Anyway, Ryan's been on the podcast a bunch of times, but this is the first time in several years. And we decided to get caught up. And you know what? Usually when Ryan and I get going, we get real off topic real fast. And this time, we managed to mostly stay on topic. We were even on topic in Patreon of all places. It was so on topic, I could scarcely believe my ears. Of course, by the end, we are definitely engaging in some tomfoolery because it's Ryan and I. We've known each other for a long time. We got started as guitar media people, I guess, for lack of a better term, around the same time. And at this most recent NAMM show, I realized we'd known each other for like a decade, and we kind of started out as these weird outsider people, and now he's giving talks at NAMM to people, like official NAMM-sanctioned presentations. I was hanging out in meeting rooms most of the time, pretending to be a true professional, and it all started with us kind of just creating this weird little pirate ship for ourselves and supporting each other along the way. It was just a really cool moment. And I thought he needs to come back on the podcast and we can explore these memories together. So without further ado, let's get into this one with Mr. Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum. Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me I have my dear friend, Mr. Ryan Burke from 60 Cycle Hum, my one-time NAMM Sherpa, and now YouTube extraordinaire. Look at you go. Here you are.
Here I am. I'm going.
Dude, it's been such a weird time, bro, for me anyway, to sit back and look at. There was just a lot of us that kind of started trying to do gear media things around the same time. And some of them have stuck around, but not everybody. But to see the handful of us that were all kind of in that same time period.
We're like a generational crew.
It's weird.
Like the Brat Pack or the Jackass Boys or something like that.
Probably more in line with that.
Probably. We're the Disney Club kids or whatever, we all came out around the same time and all know each other. It is pretty fun.
It's a good time, but it's been like a decade. Isn't that weird?
I've been podcasting for 11 years. It's nuts. like I'm an old man now. I'm not the youngster that I tell myself I am every time I make a video. Like, oh, I'm the weird outsider making a guitar video. No, I'm the establishment now.
You're the man now.
That's a weird thing to have to be honest with yourself about.
Yeah. It's you get wrapped up into that being a bit of your kind of like your, not your personality, but like how you identify yourself. You're like, I'm the young upstart. I'm trying to, make my way in this world. And now it's like, But
it's also like, this generation of us that started making guitar media a decade ago and are still around somehow. A lot of us started out being industry outsiders. Like we didn't come from within the industry, which felt really
pretty much all of us that I can think of.
Yeah, it felt really special at the time. It's like, oh, we're a bunch of, just rascals over here doing whatever we want because we're not coming out from a magazine or from a manufacturer or anything like that. We're just paving our own way. And enough of us did that at all the same time that's just the norm now.
Right.
It's not special or unique anymore. That's just how you start a guitar media channel. Basically, it's just doing it because you want to. Like no one's waiting for permission. No one needs it. You just do what you want. And
and that's great. I think that's awesome because that lends like a bunch of different unique perspectives that we have now. And that was not a thing at the time. And obviously there were people that just kind of started doing things before we got into it,
of course.
But they still, a lot of them were maybe like a part of something else.
Sure.
Andy Martin was a big inspiration for me, but he worked for Pro Guitar Shop.
Andy Martin is a saint as far as I'm concerned. He's a guiding light.
Still to this day,
Yeah, but he really did like pave the way for so many other demo channels. He like established the format as a professional format. Like there were other people doing demos, like he had your Gearman dudes and stuff like that. A very, very fun channel and other very fun channels. But Andy really exemplified professionalism, and also it had, even though it was through Pro Guitar Shop, it had an independent vibe because it wasn't like, oh, here's boss's guy or here's the guy who works for this company. It was more of like an independent feeling operation where like, here's a guy who's going to cover all these different products from all these different manufacturers and do them all the same way as a commercial product, really.
And they were not a huge company. Like a lot of people have this twisted perspective on it. They were still a small guitar retailer. They were just doing things very professionally.
There's very, very few large companies in this industry. So that's easy to say.
What I've said for many years now is that this industry is barely large enough to be an industry.
Yeah, people really don't understand how small most of these companies are. It's remarkable and beautiful.
And I say this all the time, and I don't mean this as a slight, even though it kind of sounds like it. But just try to put it in perspective for people. Fender, by brand recognition and by revenue, one of the largest entities in this industry by far.
Yeah.
Owned by a Hawaiian car dealership. That's just
right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's not a slight. I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying that just should put it in perspective. Like when Samsung decided to axe Harman, another massive company in our industry, they were like,
they barely exist on paper as far as Samsung is, concerned. So the vast majority of guitar gear brands are like that. It is a very small and tight-knit, intimate industry.
Yeah, well, when we got to, it fluctuates a little bit here and there based on what everybody has going on. But when we got to like 30 employees, we're like, wow, we have 30 employees, which is great, but relatively speaking.
Right. Wait till you hit that Fortune 40,
Yeah, it's just such a. I think a lot of people in the comment section get it twisted. They seem to think that it's something more than it is, and they seem to think that there's a lot of deep state level conspiracies around these things.
Are what? Oh man, People who've been paying attention, there's a handful of us guitar YouTubers who have been having a bit of a blast, kind of teasing everyone who's super duper upset about the new Fender Standard line. There's so many people who's like, oh, you're all just like paid shills, and this is all just a big conspiracy, and this, how much did they pay you to say this? Is like, you guys don't understand. We're dicking with you for free.
Right. No, you don't get it. There's something wrong with us.
Right. This might be a medical condition.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how we have fun.
Yeah. And guess what? We text each other about it.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
so that's the conspiracy. The conspiracy is how hard can we make each other laugh about this? That's that's the currency we're trading in right now.
Oh, absolutely. There's this huge social currency going on behind the scenes between all the guitar YouTubers. We're like, look at what I said to this asshole.
Sometimes it gets posted publicly. You
know? Oh yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
It's great.
I always kind of hope that when I, aggressively reply to someone or get snarky with someone, that they go and share a screen grab somewhere on the internet. Like, look what they said to me. How dare they? So disrespectful. I just want them to spread it around and advertise it. Like, yeah, I don't care. Like, I'll tell viewers that I think they're stupid.
You've always been somebody, and I've finally gotten to this point. A lot of it has been through your inspiration, actually, with somebody who's been able to kind of roll with that stuff. I used to think, man, that would really irritate me if I was getting comments like that. That would really bother me. And the way you've always handled it very publicly and just like, haha, look at this guy, has really helped me to handle it in a similar fashion. Sure. I'm like, actually, yeah, I don't know who this is. And they probably wouldn't say this to my face.
No, like, never.
So it's like, whatever. Who cares? Right. Yeah. It's a wild world. The great thing about the internet is that everybody gets a microphone. And the bad thing about the internet is everybody gets a microphone. Mm-hmm. So,
I mean, like I came at this from a different angle than I think a lot of people might have. Like, I think it's expected when someone starts getting into guitar media and tries to do all the work that it takes to become a known personality in the guitar scene. They probably assume, oh, this is someone who just really reveres the instrument and reveres the history, the rich history of all the finest details of all the highest end gear that there is, and has every top player memorized and all the factoids and everything like that. I came at this as a troll. I came into this like, oh my gosh, the guitar culture on the internet is stupid, and all these people are hung up on like what color the tone capacitor is in their Strat, and like if things are the right type of cabling, or if the it's all just stupid to me. But at the same time, I love guitar. I love the instrument, but I don't really care about all the cork sniffing stuff. And it's just so much fun to kind of tease that side of it, and to tease the people who take every little detail so deeply personally. And I've always come at this since the very beginning as like an outsider whose aim is to kind of make fun and poke fun, and not be worked up about the stuff that I don't think actually matters. Like all the Tonewood debates and stuff like that. It's all just ridiculous.
Yeah. I kind of had maybe a split on it. And part of it was, as I grew to know more about the instrument and actually how things work on a technical side of things, I realized how some of that cork sniffery stuff, while it can be fun, it's actually kind of damaging to the culture in a lot of ways. Because I remember reading about all this stuff, not knowing, like, I knew that some guitars and rigs sounded awesome and some didn't, but I didn't have any idea why. And so you'd try to find that information, and you'd get into a forum and it would be like, oh, it's because of the orange drop capacitor. When it's not, right? It's not at all.
Well, that body was 2 pieces. You don't want a body that's more than 5. Like,
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Things that don't matter, right?
Oh, you can tell that it sounds bad by the way that the maple cap isn't book matched right. Like,
obviously it's trash.
Yeah.
And no one's ever made good music on a solid state amp. Like, ever. Like, what? So, but I mean, if you don't know any better, you're like, oh, well, maybe. I don't know. I've never experienced any of this stuff before. So how would I know?
I spent all this time on guitar forums and stayed away from certain guitars for way too long because it's like people were going like, oh, well, the offset bridge on Jazzmasters and Jaguars is completely unstable and you have to do all this stuff to fix it. And then I finally got myself one. I was like, no, it's not.
Right.
This is like the most stable tremolo I've ever used in my life. What were people doing? What were they talking about? Like I was saying, when I got a Jag Stang with its Mustang vibrato, I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is stable like a Floyd Rose. Why have people on the internet been telling me that these are completely unusable as trims? Like, no, like this is a beautiful piece of equipment, but it's just like people get these ideas and then they preach them as the gospel truth on the internet, on forums, because they're just trying to fill time talking.
Well, and some of it's a joke and some of it's not. But when people are like, Leo got it right the first time, I'm like, in what other piece of technology has it been right the first time?
Right. And
name something that hasn't improved. I mean, I love 60s muscle cars. They're not the best cars.
Right.
They don't stop well. They don't corner well. They just look cool and sound cool. That's all they really do.
You can have a ton of fun with stuff that sucks.
Yeah,
compared to modern options, like you can have a ton of fun with stuff that sucks. I actually surf as well as another hobby that I haven't figured out how to monetize yet.
You surf?
I surf, and I also
weird.
A part of that is actually I shape my own surfboards.
Oh, really?
And
that I didn't know.
I've made about 6 or 7 of them over the years, and they all suck. none of them can hold a candle to any commercially produced, professionally produced surfboard. But you know what? I have a ton of fun on them. Mm-hmm. Like all the weird little like things that I did wrong, everything that doesn't make sense and is unusual. I love that. I love having to work around all the little mistakes that I made. And like, well, this one, like it doesn't turn very well if you're standing on this part of the board. So you have to move yourself. Like learning all the little things is a big part of the joy for me. And you could say the same thing for anything. You could say it for any piece of guitar equipment or muscle cars or any hobby. Like you can find a lot of joy in imperfect things. Mm-hmm. And this mentality that a lot of people have on the internet of trying to distill guitar down to the most perfect object is counterintuitive to me. You're trying to avoid all the fun. There's a lot of fun to be had that people are trying to skip past.
Right.
I want the fun. I want the weird stuff. I want the weird pickups and the weird bridges and hardware and switches and stuff, like colors that no one else likes. Like not everything should be a PRS with flamed maple and abalone. Like
that's the thing. I think there's a time and place for all of it.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sometimes you do want a PRS with flamed maple and abalone. But
I never want that.
I don't usually, to be honest. The PRS I still want to this day that I have never got, but hopefully will come across one day, is actually the matte black Starla that they handed me when we did that interview with Paul all those years ago. I'm like, this is actually the PRS I would buy. It's like kind of a Les Pauly thing, but like matte black kind of metal. I'm like, yeah, this is my jam right here. Never have gotten one though. Maybe one day.
Someday. You should try to get the exact one. Like track
That'd be
it down.
crazy.
Like go rewatch the footage and see if you can decode the pixels and figure out the serial number. Put out a notice on the internet. I'm looking for this exact one with this serial number, willing to pay whatever you want.
Honestly, I wouldn't be willing to pay whatever you want, but if that was somehow possible, I might be willing, because that's like a great memory of mine that you were obviously instrumental in orchestrating.
Yeah.
I hit the NAMM floor, my first NAMM, 2016. I have no idea how any of this stuff works. I don't even know how to get a badge. Like, I don't know what's going on. And the first thing I do is get a badge and then beeline it up to the PRS booth to interview Paul with you. Like,
Yeah, with me.
That's the first thing I did.
It's like, in this story, it sounds like, oh my goodness, Ryan is going to show Blake the ropes of NAMM. It was my second year.
Right. I mean, you kind of did, though. You're like, the badges are over here, and this is that. Yeah.
Because I went the year before, and like someone showed me around the year before, and here I am, second year of ever going to NAMM, second year of having a guitar podcast that was still a joke to me. I'm like, yeah, let's go interview Paul Reed Smith. What kind of trouble can we get up to today? You know?
Yeah, and I remember being like, do we have any questions? And you're like, nope. I'm like, perfect. This is going to go great.
Well, I we always recap this every time we talk. I asked Paul how he feels about his brand having a reputation of being for doctors and lawyers, and he got all huffy about it, which was a fun moment. But
yes, I thought that's the other thing, and we probably say this every time too. But like everyone's like, he was mean to you guys. I was like, no, he wasn't. He was just horsing around. It was fine.
Paul.
Yeah,
Paul's always a little bit mean, but if you're someone like me who plays off of that, it's fun. Like Paul is fun, mean. You know. Yeah. Like he's ready to play, and that's cranky. What I like. That's
what I mean. He's like he's cantankerous.
Yeah, he wants to spar with you. So if you'll spar with him, then he'll walk away respecting you, but then also being a little bit grumpy, which is fun.
Yeah, which is perfect. Yeah,
no, it's totally perfect.
The last time we did it at Sweetwater, the behind the scenes thing, my favorite part is that when I reach over and give him a squeeze, and he's like, "Don't touch me." What people didn't see off camera, and the reason I did that was because while we were walking to do the shoot, for some reason he reached over and like grabbed my hat like this and like folded it up for a reason that I don't understand. And I was like, I'm going to touch you now, but I'm going to wait till we're on camera.
You know what? That's the rules. That's the rules. If Paul touches you, you get to touch him back.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's how I interpret him.
You know, that's what his handlers tell you when you walk in the room. They're like, hey, just so you know, if Paul touches you, that's him giving you permission to touch him back.
You know, I missed that part of the orientation, but somehow it absorbed into my brain anyway. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's just, you know, basic manners.
That's true. So. Yeah. I gave him a good old squeeze. It was kind of, I don't know. It was funny to me.
So we had a NAMM house this past year, and Jason Mays stayed with us, and he was trying to line up a situation because he's got contacts over there at PRS right now. He was trying to line up a situation where Paul would come to our NAMM house. And the moment he started pitching this, I was like, it's not going to happen. Paul's schedule is always down to the minute. Like it's all just like 15-minute chunks throughout his day. So this isn't going to happen, but I hope it does. He pitched this idea of having Paul come to the NAMM house and just hang out and play Mario Kart with us.
Yes.
It would have been glorious.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah. Just hanging out, just shooting blue shells at Paul. Like,
can you imagine like
amazing
watching his reaction to like running over a banana peel or something? It would have been so good.
What if he's good?
He might be.
He's good. You know,
he might be a killer.
He takes us to the Rainbow Road and just devastates us all. You know,
it's possible. I wish that could have happened.
Yeah,
you were right. That's never going to happen at NAMM.
No,
but it could happen in another context. It's just not going to happen at NAMM.
You know what? I would travel. If Paul said we can do this, but you have to come to me, I would be there. I would pay for my own flight and my own hotel, whatever, just to hang out with Paul and Jason and whoever else can be there. And we just Mario Kart it up. Or Smash Brothers would be fun too.
Smash Brothers, original Smash Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like N64.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I'm Samus. That's my character. You know.
Who did I like? Oh, I liked the Falcon guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Captain Falcon.
Captain Falcon. He was my guy.
Yeah. Falcon Punch.
Exactly. I've never been able to get into the Switch version of Smash Brothers.
Me either. No.
I don't know what it is. Like it feels two different.
There's too much.
It's too slick. I think it's too good. You need that low poly.
You got to have that microphonic pickup version of Super Smash Brothers.
Exactly. The vintage stuff. Smash Brothers, it hasn't been as good ever since. You have to get the vintage Smash Brothers.
You got to get the one-piece maple body. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vincent, and I'm here to talk about the Mercury X. My dad's always going on and on about how cool Maris is. He really went off on one about the Mercury X the other day. He said something about a 4,800 hertz sample rate and 99 preset locations and 33 banks, and something along the lines of the most advanced reverb pedal ever devised by man? That's all true, but I only care about one thing. This pedal sounds sick. So make sure you check out the Mercury X and all the other fine products at maris.us, as well as fine retailers worldwide. All right, Dad, now can I have my Pocky?
How exactly do artists get their music on Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer, Tidal, all these services? How in the world do you get your music there? Well, in the past, you had to use something called a record label. But these days, you can use DistroKid. DistroKid is the absolute easiest way to get your music up on streaming services. And it's the most affordable way to do so. Not only do plans start at $22.99 for the entire year, that's less than $2 a month, DistroKid also does not take a cut of your streaming revenue, unlike some other services out there. Even better if you sign up by going to tonemob.com/distrokid. That's tonemob.com/distrokid. One more time, that's tonemob.com/distrokid. You'll get 30% off. That's right, 30% off their already extremely reasonable prices. So go to tonemob.com/distrokid and get your music out there.
Love, exciting and new. Hello, Hannah Waddingham here. Have you seen the fabulous new Sun Princess? World-class entertainment, exceptional dining, and the greatest pizza ever. It's a love.
Don't miss our Come Aboard sale with up to 40% off and free room upgrades. Visit princess.com or call your travel advisor to book. Princess Cruises. Terms and restrictions apply. Offer ends 2/28/25. Ships of Bermudan and British Registry.
So one thing I do want to ask you in the context of what we were talking about before is like you were treating it as like this is kind of a joke. At what point, like obviously you don't take things too seriously, but you do this for a living now. So to a degree, you do have to take certain aspects of it seriously. When did you realize that this is my life now? This is what I do?
Well, there was a moment, like I think probably like 2017 or 18 or something like that. Because I was working other jobs. I was doing graphic design, freelance, and working with a bunch of clients and stuff like that. And I was looking at everything I was doing, and I was like, the way things are going, I need to pick one. Mm-hmm. I can't do graphic design, and I was starting to get into video production with a buddy. We were starting a video production company, and I was doing the podcast, and I was doing demo video. So it's like having 4 jobs. Like I've got to pick a lane because none of these are going to be viable if I'm giving them 25% of my time. Mm-hmm. Like I have to pick the thing and give it 90% at least for it to be able to pay bills. Cause things have to have momentum.
Yes.
Like a business has to have enough momentum for it to make sense. And so I did a lot of thinking. I did a lot of walking around in the neighborhood, kind of evaluating my life. And just one day I decided I'm going to throw my full back into 60 Cycle Hum. I'm going to throw my full back into doing demo videos and the podcast. And I'll just put everything else on the back burner. And if, something important comes up, then I'll tackle it. But I'm just going to dedicate myself to this. So the side of it that I do take very seriously is the business side because my life is built around it. I've got a house, I've got 2 kids, I've got a wife and a mortgage, the whole deal. Eggs are expensive,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I've got to pay bills. And as dismissive as I am about a lot of the details of the guitar social scene, I have to treat this like as a serious business, because it is a serious part of my life. It is the sustaining part of my life that makes everything possible. But at the same time, I still get to be a rascal and do whatever I want, because that's the media, that's the persona that I've built. That is what's expected from my channel, is that I'm not a blues worshiper. I'm not a tonewood worshiper. I'm a practical, pragmatic hobbyist that I truly deeply enjoy guitars. Like this is not a fake channel. Like there was that guy who recently came out and was like, I just do music reviews just because it was a good way to make money or whatever. That's not me. I make fun of all the tonewood and all the cork sniffers and all that sort of stuff, but I still love guitar. Like it is a deeply enjoyable hobby for me. So like there's portions of the culture that I'm very antagonistic towards, but my love is deep and sincere.
It kind of has to be.
It has to be.
It has to be, because
the money's not good enough.
The money's not that great. It's doable, obviously, or we wouldn't do it.
I am doing it somehow. That's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very parallel path to me. The difference being, I think, for me and you, is I got into this like, I think I can make this work. Like, I want to do this for a living somehow. I'm so sick of what I'm doing otherwise. I came at it very intentionally with the idea that I might be able to pull this off.
Right. I
wasn't sure if I'd be able to, but I thought I probably could.
No one accidents their way into, oops, I started a successful guitar media operation. Like it is an extremely intentional labor of love and sacrifice to get these things off the ground.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And I think the timing was even similar. I think 2018 was when I was like, I think 2018 is when I was like, I'm doing 4 jobs, 3.5 jobs.
Yeah.
And I got to pick one. It helped that like my place of work sold and was not the same anymore. So a lot of the nice benefits and glue that were keeping me there went away.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, this makes it an easier decision now, doesn't it? Because this is just turned from a really great job to a normal job, basically.
Yeah. I was experiencing something similar where I had been doing a lot of illustration work for a website called iStock Photo. This also owned by Getty. And I'd been doing that for years. And there was a couple of years where it was extremely lucrative. I was able to buy a house in San Diego. Like that's how lucrative it was.
Right.
But it started going into decline, and the writing was on the wall a bit. So I was looking for a way out, basically. Because I was like, this isn't going to last forever. It's time to explore other things. So that's why I had so many gigs going on. I was, iStock, freelance design, commercial video production that I was doing, and then starting to do the podcast and demo videos all at the same time. Is just like throwing everything at the wall to see what would stick and seeing what had legs, basically, and what I enjoyed doing.
That second part was the big one for me. There were a lot of jobs I could get. That wasn't really the issue. Like,
sure.
I can fix stuff. So there's stuff always needs fixed. That's not a challenging path to carve relative to, as far as like demand goes. There's always demand for that. And so I wasn't concerned about that, but I was like, I don't want to do that though. I like this world. I like the people in this world. I like getting to mess with guitars all the time. How cool is that? I had some friends that were really not understanding what I was trying to do. And so their solution was like, well, why don't you open a guitar store? As if that is somehow an easier option. And I get
why
it.
Why not open a restaurant? Like, why are you telling me to kill myself?
Right. I get it though, because it's something tangible that they can understand.
Right. Yeah.
At the time, I was still
around that.
I was still explaining people what a podcast even was. Now I don't have to do that anymore, fortunately. Right. But back in the day, I'd invite people on the show and they were like, on a what?
Yeah.
Like, it's like an internet radio show. And they're like, huh? People listen to that? That was the response I would get.
People listen to the
that?
internet on the radio?
Yeah. They're like, and people will listen to you talk about guitar things? I'm like, thousands of people, it turns out.
Yeah. I remember an early moment, I think it was my sister or someone else. They were like, and there's enough to talk about every week. I was like, you have no idea. Like, we can talk about the same thing every week and never stop. And people keep listening.
Well, that was actually a question I got too. They were like, well, what about when you run out of people to talk to? I'm like, run out of people to talk to?
Right.
What are you talking about? There's millions of guitar players and guitar people. Literally millions.
52 weeks in a year. Like,
like, I'm never going to run out of people to talk to.
You could just talk to your friends every week. Just your friends in the industry and not run out, you know? Like,
and my response was, even if somehow I plowed through every possible person who is willing to come on the show, I'll just have other people back on again.
Here I am.
Here you are. What's the third or fourth time? Whatever it is.
I'm not counting. You shouldn't either.
Well, it's gotten to that point now where it's like, they've been on 6 times now. Yeah, okay. Wow, weird.
Uh-huh.
Scott Marquardt, my partner, for those listening that probably know that, but some people don't. He's been on like 6 or 7 times to the point where, and people really like when he comes on. Mm-hmm. To the point we're actually starting another show because what the internet needs is more of me talking on it. It's really lacking in that right now. So, yeah, we've got a new show that we're going to launch here pretty soon that won't actually be a gear show, which will be a kind of a change.
Can you share the secret? What's going on?
I can share the secret. It's I gave a sneak peek to Patreon last week, so they've actually heard it. It's not going to be wholly unfamiliar. It's me talking to someone, you know. So
that sounds crazy.
Is that really going to work?
But it's not going to be about guitar. What is it going to be about?
So we're basically taking musical adjacent topics that maybe the one person knows more about than the other, and we're trading off every week. And we're talking about that. Like, the first episode is going to be Scott educating me kind of about the crazy story of Lee Scratch Perry, the famous like reggae producer.
All right.
I didn't know that much about him. So he's kind of telling me the story of how he, you know, would go bury tapes out in the sand and then bring them back in the studio, and how the studio burnt down mysteriously and like all this crazy stuff. So it you know, there's things that are more general topic, but still musical.
Yeah.
You know, I did an episode on the musical connections of Charles Manson. You know,
that's fun. Cause you know what? I think I made a Threads post about this like a couple months ago. Like, it was something along the lines of what percentage of serial killers are guitarists. And I don't think we ever figured out a number, but it's high. A lot of serial killers, a lot of like cult leaders, they all play guitar. Like, there's something to that. There's
I'm gonna have to find that thread. That sounds interesting.
There's some sort of connection to the narcissism that it takes to become a musician and also become a very dangerous cult leader or murderer of some sort.
Actually,
it shouldn't really be a surprise.
In Tennessee, there's a crime museum. Shout out Jake Young. He's the one who told me about it. Mm-hmm. It's crazy. They have Charles Manson's guitar.
Nice.
And so it was like, whoa, look at that. There it is.
Yeah. And you could, I mean, who was the Waco guy? He played, oh
yeah.
Didn't he play like a BC Rich or something like that?
Yeah, something crazy.
I always see pictures of him.
What's his name? David Koresh?
Was it David Koresh?
Yeah. I think that's the guy.
Yeah, I think it was David Koresh. You're right.
That might be another episode that we got to do.
Yeah, guitar that sounds like a top 10 video list sort of thing, like top 10 guitars of famous murderers. What guitars are the murderers playing? Let's find out.
Oh man, yeah, that's not a bad one. I like.
Was he a murderer? He just he defended his compound against the FBI.
It's a very controversial situation. I don't know that he was a full blown murderer though, but it was a crazy situation.
Well, didn't he I don't know. I know I was a kid when that all happened, and it all they'll just win. I don't care to go watch the documentaries or whatever. I'm not a true crime person.
Yeah, I get you.
So
yeah.
I know that it was awful. I know there's awful things going on. And it was
something to do with they barricaded themselves inside, and then the ATF burned the place down.
ATF. It was like a gun cult or something like that, right? Like people listening to this right now who know things.
They're like, stop talking about it. Stop
screaming at us. Like, how dare you not know everything about my personal fixation?
I think that podcast is going to generate a lot of that because we're not talking about, even though I say at the top, like, I'm not talking about everything that happened with Charles Manson. We'll be here for 2 years. Like, we're talking about this very narrow thing.
What was his go-to scale? What,
like I don't know. Like,
major, minor. Was he into diminished chords? What was?
He's a big fan of just the standard blues pentatonic.
Right. Oh, we all are. We all are. So,
who isn't?
Yeah, you can't fault him for that.
No. Other things, maybe.
Yeah, I'll have to look into this guy to figure out if I think he's bad news.
Let me know what you find out.
Right. I'll have to do some research on this fellow.
Yeah, he
what did you say
shifty.
His name was?
Chuck Manson.
Chuck Manson. Interesting name. Yeah, I don't know if I've heard of that guy.
Yeah. Helter Skelter, whatever. Who knows?
Oh, yeah, that's the guy that the Beatles wrote that song about. All right.
Well, that was funny, though.
Must be a cool guy.
Because of how conversational that was, I made some assumptions that, like, Scott knew about Helter Skelter.
Right.
And he, like, didn't fully know, like, no, they were inspired by the White Album, and that's why they did it. And so we almost glossed over one of the most glaring musical connections about it because I was trying to get into some more unknown stuff.
I mean, but a very powerful thing you can do with any podcast or any bit of media, especially guitar media, is allow yourself to make mistakes so the audience can correct you in the comment section. Really juice up those analytics, That's right. Yeah, really pump up your video by getting people to write paragraphs. Like it's always a good plan.
It's a good. I mean, I think it was Bud Light that just did a big, like, it was like last year or something, like a big spread in one of the New York Times or some very popular, expensive place to advertise where they misspelled something.
Yeah, that was a whole campaign. They did billboards and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, you think they did that on accident? Everyone's like, look how stupid this is. I'm like, you're playing right into their hands.
You're telling everyone to look at an advertisement, and now everyone's thinking about Budweiser. Like. Mm-hmm. It's gonna win an award is what's gonna happen. Like all the advertising nerds out there is like, oh, this is brilliant, and now like 3 other companies are gonna do it over the next year. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna be like, okay, all right.
I mean, there are things in we at Stringjoy are a bit of advertising nerds ourselves. We genuinely are.
Yeah,
and so there are things sometimes we're like, oh, people are gonna hate that, and we're like, yeah, put it out.
Yeah, they're gonna react to it. That's the best possible thing you can do. I mean,
like we did a recent campaign. Go ahead. Sorry.
I tore apart that Rickenbacker guitar.
Oh, so good.
And the YouTube video,
quote unquote Rickenbacker.
I know that it was a cheap Chinese copy from AliExpress. It wasn't. I don't even consider it a guitar. It was so awful. The YouTube video did all right, but then I did like shorts on Instagram and TikTok, and oh my gosh, millions of views, tens of thousands of comments, everyone telling me how awful I am, and people I bet you learned this was a huge mistake. Everyone telling you blah, blah, blah. Like, no, this is like the most successful self-marketing I've ever done, ever for anything in my life. Everyone knows who I am now. Like millions of people have seen me. And then if they ever see me pop up on YouTube, they're going to be like, that's that guy. I'm going to go, is he going to do that to that guitar? I'm going to go like,
or in a year, they're going to be like, I know that guy from somewhere.
I know that guy?
Yeah. Click. Yeah. And they may not ever remember why they know you, but they know you.
The cheapest, most effective self-marketing I could have ever done. That guitar cost me $200, which was way overpriced for what I got.
What was the actual name of it? Did it even have a name?
It came with a Rickenbacker tag, a truss rod cover.
They were trying to clone it.
Then. It wasn't installed on there, but it came in the box. Like, you want to put this on here? Here you go. But it didn't have a brand name. It didn't have any markings. it was a true, like, it was trying to be a counterfeit. Like, it wasn't built like a true counterfeit, but it was trying to be a visual counterfeit. And so it's like, everyone who defends that guitar, like, oh, you should have done this or that, given it to me, given it to a kid, given it to a school. People don't understand how
I wouldn't do
truly
that to
awful
you.
this object was. Like, I give stuff away all the time to all kinds of different people and organizations. Like, I wouldn't. It was too awful.
That is one thing that I think is worth stating. I actually did a whole episode with a guy named Kai, and he was writing his thesis on smashing guitars and the ethics of it.
That's amazing.
And so we did this entire episode talking about smashing guitars, and one of the things I said on there was some guitars, you're doing a disservice to whoever takes it next because it's not good. Like, it is not well made. And to put the amount of time into it that it would require, it's just not worth it. Amazon smashes hundreds, if not thousands, of guitars every single day, and no one bats an eye.
Every single manufacturer has a dumpster out back where they're just chucking stuff that has blemishes. Like, blemishes, someone could totally absolutely play this guitar, but it didn't come off the line right, and they saw it in half and they chuck it in the dumpster. That's what should have happened to the guitar that I smashed. But also, like, something that people don't really want to be honest with themselves about when they get upset about a guitar being destroyed for performative purposes. There's not a shortage of guitars.
There's not.
There won't be. There's too many, probably.
So this is years old information at this point, and this is almost certainly went up since then. But some of our mutual manufacturer friends toured Taylor guitars, not that I don't know, 2019 or something like that. Sure. And the takeaway that a lot of those people came is like, Taylor at that one factory was making 600 guitars a day. One company in one location, and they have other places they make guitars too.
Yeah.
600 guitars a day.
And they're just boring acoustics.
Yeah. And they're just acoustics.
And they're making them because they're selling $600 guitars a day from one company. And that's their US operation. That's where their nicer stuff is coming out of. Like, it's the same all over the place. Like, every single day, thousands and thousands and thousands of new guitars are being born.
I wonder, genuinely, if you added it, and there's no way to know this, but are there like 1 million guitars every day being produced? I bet you it's close.
Couldn't be 1 million.
I bet it could.
You think
I'm talking about all the Chinese garbage. I'm talking about all the Korean manufacturer. I'm talking about every small builder. Do you think it's 1 million?
You might be right.
Like, I think it's in the
crazy number though.
It's in the mid 100,000s per day at least, I think.
Oh, for sure, hundreds of thousands. But
I'm wondering if it's knocking on the door of 1 million. There's no way to know this. It's just a weird thought exercise.
I don't want to accept that, but I do want to know how many guitars are being made per year, because that's going to be a big number. That's a
big number.
Big number. And like we were saying earlier, this is a small industry compared to so many other industries, but those are big numbers for how much product is actually making it out into the world. And for people to like get so self-righteous and so worked up anytime one of them gets destroyed for any reason is like getting mad that someone ate a hot dog, Like, you destroyed a hot dog. That's
not what the glizzy. No.
That's what it's for. You're supposed to consume it. These are objects. Guitars don't go bad.
They don't. Not typically speaking.
And a poor quality guitar that's not fun to play, if you leave it alone, it'll keep existing for who knows how long. We don't know how long guitars will last because we're still playing guitars that are hundreds of years old. Like, if you keep maintaining them, they'll keep going. I just think that every now and then it's totally fine to sacrifice one.
Especially one that's not good.
Yeah.
And not has no history.
There's nothing special about it. If anything, it's the opposite of special.
It might be detrimental.
And has an actual proven net gain in destroying it for marketing purposes.
Right.
And entertainment purposes. How many tens, hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people were secretly entertained watching me slowly tear apart
I was not so secretly entertained.
a cheap Rickenbacker, hearing every crack and crunch, watching me twist the neck to pieces. Like, that's entertainment.
I just loved the approach you took with it. You were like, let me fix this. I'm going to fix that.
Well, I'd been thinking about it for a long time. That guitar had been hanging on my wall for like a full year. And every time I looked at it, every time I picked it up, I was like, maybe I can do this or that to make it playable. And every single time I would throw it on the couch and walk away and be like, this is awful. This thing is terrible. This is a terrible experience every single time. I don't want to spend any more time working on it. So I kept trying to brainstorm ways to get rid of it. And I had this idea that I was going to take it out on a big surf day and try to boogie board it. And the logistics of it was just like too tough. I needed someone to come and film me and have their schedule be free, and the waiting for the weather to cooperate and
The right waves,
swells and stuff like that. And then one day I looked at it and I was just like, I just want to torture this thing. I want to take it apart like I'm a villain in a Bond movie who's just like slowly taking pieces off of someone with a razor or something like that. And so that's kind of like the sick place my mind was. I was like, I wonder how much of this I could tear apart with my bare hands. That's where I ended up. And that's kind of where I was when I sat down and turned on the cameras with it. And then eventually I had to, bust out some screwdrivers and some pry tools and stuff like that. I found the edges of my own physical ability trying to tear it apart.
I just had a thought while you were describing this process. I made a video. I don't do a lot of videos that aren't interviews because I just...
Right, that's what you do.
Yeah. But I did do a video a couple years ago of trying to see how much abuse the Behringer Super Fuzz could take. And you know what? Nobody really got mad about that.
Right.
Like, there was a few, like, oh man, I wish I had that pedal. I'm like, it was $15.
Yeah.
You could probably get one. Yeah.
It would be more expensive. It would cost you $10 to ship it to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I guarantee you probably got more than $15 worth of value.
And you know what? I gave one away in the video and the person never claimed it. So obviously it wasn't that important to them.
Right.
Like, I bought one to keep.
Classic.
One to see what it could take, and one to give away, and the winner never did.
Yeah,
claim the prize. So
I did all those videos last year where I was giving away all my old Affordaboard pedals, and I think Steve is still waiting for certain winners to answer their emails.
Hello there. I'd like to introduce you to your new best friend, the Chase Bliss Audio Lossy. Lossy is a collaboration between Chase Bliss and Goodhertz. And it's meant to give you some control over those weird digital artifacts that come with very compressed audio. You're hearing it right now. All the changes that are taking place are strictly coming from my playing dynamics. I'm just interacting with the pedal and letting it do its thing. In some true stereo goodness. If you'd like some more details about Lossy, I'd invite you to head over to chaseblinssaudio.com. You're going to like what you find.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss.
Oof, like wind in your hair carefree.
Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree.
Yes.
Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree.
He's on a roll now.
Spit toothpaste on the faucet.
You got it. You got it.
Peanut butter on the light switch.
Oh, spritz, spritz.
Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back.
Use as directed.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Like, the giveaways are so hard. Like, people just, like, they
shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, people sign up. They're like, well, I know how to game this. I'm going to sign up with all my email addresses. And then they never check them.
Right.
It's a good job. You cheated your way into still not winning because you didn't check your email address.
We got to a point like with Stringjoy stuff where when we do our big summer giveaways, and we got to a point where we're like, we can't manage this anymore.
It's so hard.
So we found a company that specializes in it and is like, manage this, please. Like, we handle all the promotion and everything, but they handle all the legalities and the back end and all of that stuff. And it's like, thank you.
And it's another thing that viewers get so upset over giveaways. Like, how come this isn't open to the entire world? I live in Tasmania. It's like, dude, I don't know. Write your congressperson. I can't
control what your government does. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. Like, and like, you know,
I can't control what my government does.
Parts of the USA, you can't do contests. So it's like, I forget, like places in Florida and New York and stuff like that.
Like you have to pay a bond if you want to do it over a certain value. And there's like all this, again, why we were just like, oh, you specialize in this? Cool. Handle that part.
Yeah. Thank you. Like,
tell me what the rules are and here's your fee. Cause this is too much to, it sounds like it should be easy, and I understand why people want it to be easy, but unfortunately, it's not.
Right.
It's way harder than it should be.
Yeah, and it's always like someone complaining who's in some country that it would cost $300 to ship them a guitar, and the giveaway is for a $200 guitar. Like, why can't I enter to win? It's like, dude, you have no idea how complicated this stuff is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's barely worth it for any of us.
and it's one thing, like I get it. I understand the frustration because, you know, I see things I want. And it's like, oh, that'd be cool to win. But I can't imagine the odds of me winning are so slim. It's like almost the lottery. And then also I'm like, oh, it's not available to me. Oh, well.
Move on.
Yeah, I guess my day literally hasn't changed at all because of this.
Yeah. I wish I could give things away to everyone all around the world all the time. Like to be a Guitar Gear Santa Claus.
That'd be awesome.
I'm working on the look, but
yeah.
Like I would, if that could be my job, to just travel the world and put instruments into people's hands for free.
That'd be so cool.
It'd be amazing. I wish I could do that. What a dream. What a life that would be.
As long as you don't give it to the wrong person. The internet's going to have something to say about that.
You mean like a cult leader or a serial killer?
Oh, I just meant
how you play guitar.
I remember,
you know?
I'll never forget you gave a guitar to a kid in a parking lot and people are like, well, why not? Why'd you give it to that kid? I'm like, what difference does it make?
Should have picked a better kid. I don't think that kid's worthy.
That kid's not kiddie enough. Like, what
Too
do you
old.
Want? Yeah. That kid was a 40-year-old man. What's going on?
Oh man, I just had an idea. I should do a video giving a guitar to a kid. I should do this with Brian Wampler. Oh my gosh. But then the kid is a goat.
Yes.
And you just get to watch a goat just
lick it.
Goat things to a guitar. Just chewing on it.
Yeah.
Just headbutting it. Like hang it from a rope so it can like ram into it and stuff. Like I want to give a guitar to a kid now.
Yeah. Give a guitar to a kid.
Can I maybe I'll I got to find a petting zoo or something. I bet they would have
hungriest goat.
I bet they would be like, you got to take off all the small metal bits or they're going to choke and die or something like that. But
Yeah, I don't know though, because they like the goats are weird.
they eat everything.
They eat things that I'm like, how? Like a stick. They're just like chew a stick down.
A stick is different than a goat eating 22 metal frets. You know?
I don't specialize in goat technology. I don't know how their digestive systems work.
Probably super bad for an animal to eat a magnet. I think that could be problematic. I don't want to kill a goat. Not that way.
I don't know. I think like polyfinish is probably not great either, you know?
I feel like a goat could probably handle eating a bunch of plastic.
Plastics metals where you draw the line.
I think the plastic and the wood is fine. I think all the sharp metal bits and magnetic things that the sharp metal bits would stick to. And like, imagine you swallow a single coil humbucker. Blake.
Yeah. Okay.
And then, you know, you're getting through your meal. You're eating a whole guitar piece by piece. An hour later, you swallow another single coil pickup.
Okay.
The first single coil pickup goes into your guts and it's working its way through your intestines. And then that other single coil pickup enters in a different part of your intestines. And all of a sudden, plunk. Now your intestines are tied together because you swallowed a couple single coil pickups.
I think that depends on how much mass you've put in between the two pickups, you know? If you've consumed a lot of wood,
really pad it out with wood and poly pulp, you know.
Yeah, you might be okay, you know. And also like how many hours has it been?
And a fistful of frets that are chewed up and mangled by your goat teeth. This is a terrible idea.
I don't know. I watched all I'm saying, I'm only basing this off of humans, but I watched a dude eat a shopping cart. So it must be possible. You know?
There weren't any magnets in the shopping cart.
That's true. There were no magnets. It was a lot of metal.
That's a lot of metal. How long did it take them?
I don't remember. It was something from like 2002 where dude would like set a world record by eating like a shopping cart and a bunch of other stuff. I can't remember what it all was, but
did he beat someone else? Did he beat someone else's time?
Maybe his own record. I don't know. I still am like
world record.
It's like I'm like he's just like cutting it up into little bite-sized pieces and just eating this shopping cart. I'm like, I don't. What makes you think? You know, like this is what my legacy is going to be.
But every time he goes to the grocery store, everyone who works there like gives him the side eye,
like hides their carts.
Don't eat that one.
No, that's one of our best carts. Leave that there.
Yeah. You know what? I used to work in grocery. Mm-hmm. I definitely knew which carts were the best carts.
Oh, yeah.
There it is. There's the best one. Mm-hmm. There's the worst one over there. I know that's
the what's really bad about the bad shopping carts, too? As a consumer, you don't know until you're like committed to that cart pretty much.
What if we had a way of leaving marks to rate shopping carts? Like you leave everyone carries around a little marker and they give it a shopping cart a grade, you know? They're like, this one's an A+. And then like the bearing starts going bad and someone comes along and they cross that out and they're like, C-.
C-.
Yeah. And so you can walk up to a cart and you can see someone else's little writing on the handle and you're like, I'll get the next one.
That could be helpful.
And then, the grocery store could look at those marks and be like, oh, this one looks like it needs to be serviced. Everyone's giving it a D.
You know? We need to upgrade our cart program.
Well, they have like services that they pay for where like once a year, like someone comes out with a truck and they service them all, or they pick up all the worst ones and then take them somewhere to service them. Like it's a whole industry, shopping carts.
What if that dude though saw this rating system and was like, A+, that's the delicious one. We're going. I can't wait.
Just salivating.
He goes to the grocery store not for groceries, but he just grabs a cart.
Well, that's why they put the little locks on the wheels now, so that people can't take them home and eat them.
Specifically that last part.
Right. People are eating all our shopping carts.
Every year we lose dozens of carts to cart eaters.
Well, I mean, have you seen the price of eggs? People got to eat something.
You got to get your iron in.
Yeah.
You know?
It's literal metal in there. It's literal iron.
Yeah, just get it.
Mhm.
I like to mega dose it. That way I don't have to worry about it
Yeah.
for the rest of the year.
Exactly. Get it all done in one.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
Trust me, I'm a scientist. Oh, wait, Steve's not here.
Oh, I wonder how Steve would react to this conversation.
I feel like I know. I feel like I have a pretty good idea. You know.
Sometimes he plays around with this sort of nonsense, and sometimes he's just like, "What are you talking about, Ryan? This is so stupid."
Yes, it is.
We could probably do a whole sideshow on just all the dumb texts that I send to Steve at 11 o'clock at night. Like, what if this happened? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, but what if?
Yeah, what if though?
Mm-hmm.
What if dogs could vote? How would that go?
How would that go?
We're
going to give dogs the vote now?
We're getting political. We're getting political.
I think we
Here
should.
go. So this is the situation. This is the scenario. Whoever's running for office, they stand on either side of a room.
Okay.
You just let a bunch of dogs into the room, and they do their best to compel the dogs to come to them. Whichever one gets the most dogs. You know what? I trust the dogs. Let the dogs vote for who's going to run. You know, who's going to get to be in power. Dogs. Yeah. Dogs know who's safe.
This is a decent system. The problem is, I mean, it's not a problem because I'm never going to run for office.
Right.
But dogs don't like me. Like I give off like a bad dog vibe. They're like, nah, not that guy.
Well, then maybe you shouldn't run for office, Blake.
Yeah, I'm not going to. So it's not that big of a deal, I guess. But I'm just saying, maybe there's a guy like me. I feel like I'm an okay guy that maybe just is not. And then got the dog repellent smell or something, and it's like, man, he had good policies, but the Rottweilers, we couldn't get the Rottweiler vote. You know
what you do if you get a perfect tie, or if the dogs just can't decide.
What?
You hand it over to the cats.
No, cats are too chaotic. They're all anarchists.
I know, but if even one chooses you, like, and their decision carries a lot of weight.
What if we
dogs are going to run all over, but the cats will seal the deal.
I'm wondering if maybe we need to go outside of the animal, like the classic dog cat realm, and maybe we need to see
salamanders,
like the hedgehogs or salamanders.
Hedgehogs, all right.
Yeah, I had a hedgehog at one point, so you know. Maybe I'm more of a hedgehog guy.
Just for the suspense of it all, we should go for slow animals. Like hedgehogs are cute, but yeah, like a sloth, snails, turtles. You know, I can't imagine a snail making an informed decision. But I feel like I would trust a turtle, like a big tortoise.
Turtle?
Yeah. Hey, tortoise, who are you going to choose? Who should rule this land that we all live in? And then we just wait for a big tortoise to walk across the room and take a carrot out of some politician's hand.
Oh, man, you might be onto something.
It's not a perfect system, but it's a system that does work, is all I'm saying, you know?
Yeah. A decision would get made. And there would be no, like, they stole the vote.
Just trust the animal instinct, you know?
The animal's there.
Yeah. Here, and we'll still be able to vote. But the humans will be able to vote for which animals get to pick this time around. You know,
I'm going to the horse vote. I want to go see what the horses think.
I don't know. Horses are kind of sadistic.
I trust a horse.
I don't trust a horse.
You ever rode a horse?
I've ridden horses.
And you still don't trust a horse?
I don't trust a horse.
I've ridden horses.
I feel like a dog is a better. There's been a lot of villains who've ridden horses. You know,
there's been a lot of villains who stroke cats in movies. You
That's
know?
true too.
Yeah.
We need to have a vetting system for these animals to make sure they're not evil.
Then cats don't get to win. I'm sorry, like they don't get to decide. Cats are inherently chaotic evil.
Or maybe we just understand, like, okay, here's the dog vote. Here's the good boy vote. Let's see what evil would choose, and then bring in the cats.
Oh,
you know?
The cats decide who we don't get, and if they choose the same person, we got to start the process over.
This
again.
is a good episode. This is good content.
Yeah, we figured it out.
Yeah.
We always do.
We finally found the sweet spot for this episode.
Politics.
Yeah. The problem is that we started too on topic. We don't usually do that. This
was one of our more on topic episodes,
and now
maybe the first one was like the most on topic, but every other one's been off the rails.
Yeah.
This was very on.
Now we're finally getting into the exciting stuff, getting off the rails where we like to live. You know, we've got the train down in the ditch.
Which is the perfect time to end this episode and get over to Patreon, where we can really, really get into some nonsense.
What are we going to talk to the Patreons about?
I don't know. Let's find out.
More animal talk? Animals and politics?
We'll see where it goes.
Sure.
All right. Well, I've already asked you about, boss pedals and pizza and everything. So is there anything you want to leave the people with before we slide over to Patreon?
I don't know. I don't know if I've got any hot takes to drop right now. Do you have something you want to ask?
This is not something I'll be able to just immediately act upon. But if I was in your town of San Diego, genre of food aside, it doesn't matter. I was like, I only have time for one meal. Where am I going?
You've only got time for one meal in San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's for you. It's for your tastes. I know you love pizza.
I do love pizza, but I like other things.
You do like other things. I'm not going to take you to a pizza place because I don't think we have any pizza here that is over the top special. We have some good. Okay. We have some good spots, but I don't think I have any. We have anything that's worth showing off.
Sure.
I would probably take you to just the greasiest, dirtiest Mexican burrito spot. Actually, you know what? We've got a great burrito spot here in my own town that is a hybrid Mexican Filipino restaurant.
Oh, yeah, now we're talking. Yeah.
That's where I'm going to take you. And they do stunt foods, which are fun. They have a burrito that's a double tortilla burrito, which means that it's
huge, like a football.
And then they wrap the whole thing in bacon.
Stunt foods.
Right. So they got some stunt foods, but they also got some very good stuff. Have you ever had carne asada fries?
Oh yeah.
So it's like nachos, but you replace the chips with French fries, and they cover it in meat and guacamole and cheese and salsa and sour cream if you want it. But this place, they will combine the carne asada with Filipino sausages, and it's so good. It's so good, and it's just this gut busting gigantic pile of food. So I'd have you eat something like that, and then throw you on a plane and wish you luck.
What's the name of this place?
Salulitas. They actually have a few locations, and they've got one out in Vegas. It's a bit you can call it a chain. You know how it is when a place has 3 locations, and you're like, it's technically a chain, but it's still family owned.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. Shout out Salulitas. That sounds good.
It is good. It is good.
I like those kind of fusion things. That sounds right up my alley. Yeah. I like the sound of that.
Good salsas too. I sign off on the quality over there. It's good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, everybody. Well, that is your politics and food talk with Ryan Burke and Blake Weiland. Thank you all so much for hanging out. For Ryan, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones. All right, we did it, and if you want more, of course, there's Patreon. Ryan and I had a great time over there as well. We get into some weird stuff, but actually, we stay kind of on topic for the most part, if you can believe that. I know, Patreon's not usually the place for that, but somehow we accidentally did it. And if you'd like to support this show and help keep it around for another decade, if you could go over to patreon.com/tonemob, $5 a month gets you those extra episodes and access to the ad-free feed. It is enormously helpful. I really, truly mean that. It is huge. So thank you to everybody that does that. Big shout out to Ryan for coming on again and giving me his time. He's a great dude. And if you don't know 60 Cycle Hum, you should probably fix that because it's kind of an institution at this point. So go check out 60 Cycle Hum wherever you do your interwebbing because they're probably there. I really appreciate you folks. Hopefully Ryan and I can indeed maybe work into our retirement age doing this crazy stuff. And if we can, it'll be all thanks to you. We really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you on the internet very soon. Bye-bye.